Have you ever been stopped by someone with that wide-eyed look? Wait, there's no way you're that old. They say it like a compliment, like you've unlocked some secret skincare hack, or maybe just hit the genetic jackpot. But what if I told you that's not the full story? What if looking younger than your age isn't about collagen or clean eating at all? What if it's psychological? What if your face is quietly revealing something about how you live, how you think, how you carry pain, and how you release it? Because here's the truth most people miss: looking young isn't luck. It's language. Your skin speaks. It tells the world whether you've let life break you, or whether you've alchemized pain into peace. It shows if you carry bitterness in your jawline, or lightness in your laugh. And the most youthful men, they aren't the ones chasing youth. They're the ones who are fully alive. In this video, I'm not going to talk about skincare routines or anti-aging supplements. I'm going to reveal something deeper: the invisible habits, the emotional patterns, the psychological disciplines that quietly preserve your vitality or slowly take it away. We'll break down 7 traits that men who age beautifully tend to share: mentally, emotionally, socially. And no, it's not about being soft. It's about being clean on the inside. Because men who stay young, they don't run from hardship. They just don't let it stain their spirit. So if people have ever told you you don't look your age, this video might explain why. And if they haven't yet, maybe it's time to start doing things differently, starting today. When was the last time you got excited to learn something new, not because you had to, but because it made your brain feel alive? There's a kind of glow that comes from men who are endlessly curious. You've seen it before. The guy who's 45 but lights up like a teenager when he talks about philosophy or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or how he's trying to learn Japanese just for fun. His energy feels fresh, not because of his face, but because of his mindset. On the flip side, you've also met the other type. Maybe he's only 28, but he already talks like life has passed him by. Everything is meh, predictable, boring. He knows it all, tries nothing new, and his body reflects that slouched posture, dull eyes, lifeless voice. Here's what's really going on. Curiosity isn't just a cute trait. It's a biological trigger for youth. When your brain stays curious, it remains plastic, adaptive, alive. Studies show that learning new skills increases neural activity, reduces the rate of cognitive decline, and even improves physical coordination. The mind and body are not separate, they dance in sync. One of my closest friends is 62, but you'd never guess it. He's learning photography, salsa dancing, and reads more books in a month than most do in a year. I once asked him, "What's your secret?" He smiled and said, "I never let my brain go on autopilot." That stuck with me. Most men don't age from the outside in. They age from the inside out. When they stop questioning, stop exploring, stop wondering, mental rigidity hardens the body. Curiosity keeps it fluid. So if you've been feeling stagnant lately, maybe it's not your schedule. Maybe it's your spirit. Ask a question. Take a course. Try something you've always been afraid to suck at. You'll be surprised how quickly your body follows your mind's lead. Because the fire in your mind, that's the light people see when they say, "You don't look your age." And in the next part, we'll dive deeper into another hidden force that silently drains or preserves your youth: how you handle your emotions when no one's watching. Have you ever met someone whose face looked tired even when they weren't? Eyes that seem heavy, a jaw that stays clenched, a smile that feels restrained, like it hasn't been used in a while. That's not age. That's emotional weight. Most men are taught early on, don't cry, be strong, push through. And so we do. We bottle things up. We take the hit, stay silent, and convince ourselves it's noble. But here's the truth: no one teaches you. Your body always remembers what your mouth refuses to say. Unspoken grief shows up as tension in the shoulders. Suppressed anger hardens the face. Years of pretending to be fine carves lines deeper than time ever could. There's a man I used to work with. Stoic, efficient, put together, never raised his voice, never showed emotion. He looked like the model of composure. Until he didn't. At 36, he started having chronic health issues, insomnia, chest tightness, migraines. After months of tests, his doctor finally said, "You're holding too much in. You don't need pills, you need to feel." That hit me hard, because I saw a version of myself in him. The science backs this up. When we repress emotions, our stress hormones spike, cortisol, adrenaline, and our immune system weakens. Our skin loses elasticity, our digestion suffers, our energy fades. Not because we're aging, but because we're not releasing. But here's the good news: emotional expression isn't weakness, it's hygiene. Just like taking a shower, you need to clean out your feelings, talk, cry, journal, yell into a pillow if you have to. But don't let your pain rot in silence, because a man who lets himself feel fully heals fully. And those men, they carry a softness in their eyes, a gentleness in their presence. It's not because they've had it easy, but because they've let it move through them, not stay stuck inside. So if you've been told you look younger than your age, it might be because your emotions haven't calcified you, they've freed you. In the next section, we'll explore another surprising factor that keeps your spirit and your face radiant, the kind of purpose you wake up for every morning. You can always tell when a man has lost his sense of purpose. It's in the way he moves, slow, unfocused, like he's carrying invisible weight. It's in his voice, flat, distracted, always looking for the weekend. And it's in his face, that dullness around the eyes that says, "I'm here, but I'm not really alive." Purpose doesn't just give you direction. It gives you voltage, a kind of internal electricity that animates your body, sharpens your mind, and keeps your spirit alert. I once knew a retired carpenter named Luis. He was 67, but had the kind of energy most men half his age would envy. Every morning, he woke up before dawn, not because he had to, but because he wanted to finish hand, building tiny wooden boats for kids in his neighborhood. He smiled more. His eyes sparkled when he spoke, and people constantly guessed he was in his early 50s. That wasn't skincare. That was soul care. Passion, no matter how small, has a biochemical effect. It raises dopamine and serotonin, hormones directly tied to joy, vitality, and youthfulness. When you live without a reason to wake up, your system slows down. But when you have something that lights you up, even briefly, your cells notice. Your posture shifts. Your face glows. Here's the thing: your purpose doesn't have to be grand. You don't need to start a movement or become famous. It can be as simple as writing music, coaching a team, or fixing things in your garage. What matters is that it makes you feel alive. The biggest mistake many men make is waiting for passion to show up like a lightning bolt. But often it comes from doing, not dreaming. Action creates clarity. Purpose reveals itself through motion. So ask yourself, what makes you lose track of time? What would you do even if no one paid you or praised you for it? Follow that. Because the men who radiate the most youthful energy, they aren't chasing motivation. They're plugged into meaning. And in the next section, we'll look at something even more subtle, but just as powerful: how the way you deal with stress can shape the way the world sees you. Some people walk through fire and somehow still look untouched. You see them and wonder, how did they go through all that and still smile like that? It's not denial. It's not ignorance. It's something deeper. They've learned how to carry stress without letting it scar them. Let's be real: life throws punches. Financial setbacks, breakups, family drama. And for many men, the stress piles up like invisible bricks on the chest. It shows up in the body: clenched jaws, shallow breaths, furrowed brows. Even when life settles down, the tension stays. That's the trap. But not everyone responds this way. A guy I knew, Jake, lost his job, had a breakup, and had to move back home all in the same month. Most people would have spiraled. But Jakey, he kept waking up early, he journaled, he exercised, cooked for his parents, and even volunteered at a shelter. I asked him once, "How are you so calm through all this?" He said, "Stress is part of life. Suffering is optional." That hit hard. See, stress isn't the enemy. Stagnant stress is. When you suppress it, ignore it, or drown it in distractions, it buries itself deeper, weakening your immune system, aging your skin, and shortening your breath. Cortisol rises. Sleep quality drops. You lose your edge, not because of age, but because your nervous system is always bracing for impact. But when you move stress through breathwork, movement, reflection, or simply talking, it passes. Your body returns to safety. Your skin softens. Your mind clears. One of the most youthful things a man can learn isn't how to avoid stress, but how to metabolize it. Learn to pause instead of react. Learn to breathe deep when your mind screams. Learn to trust that storms pass faster when you don't wrestle them. Because the men who carry peace in their eyes, they've walked through chaos without letting it build a home inside them. Next up, we'll explore one of the most overlooked factors in staying youthful, and it has nothing to do with you alone. It's about the energy of the people you keep closest. You ever walk into a room and feel your shoulders tense before anyone even says a word? That's not your imagination, that's energy. And just like food or sleep, the people around you directly affect how you look, feel, and even how fast you age. We often think youthfulness is something you maintain on your own. Eat well, work out, sleep enough. But what we forget is this: your social environment is either your fuel or your poison. I had a roommate in my 20s, let's call him Matt, always complaining, always critical. He could suck the joy out of a sunrise. After 6 months of living with him, I felt heavier, more anxious, more tired, even though nothing else had changed in my life. The moment I moved out, it was like breathing fresh air again. My skin even cleared up, no joke. Turns out, science backs this up. Studies show that chronic exposure to negativity, especially from close relationships, increases stress hormones, damages immune response, and can even shorten telomeres, those little caps on your DNA that affect aging. Simply put, being around the wrong people makes you old fast. But the flip side, surround yourself with energy that uplifts and you glow. You've seen this, the guy who spends time with driven, grounded friends. He moves differently, speaks with more ease. His laughter is real, his eyes sharp, alive. It's not magic, it's maintenance. You don't owe your energy to everyone, not to the chronic gossipers, not to the subtly resentful, not to the ones who only call when they need something. Protecting your peace isn't rude, it's radical self-preservation. Start paying attention to how you feel after time with someone. Do you feel drained, tense, small? Or do you feel lit up, seen, expansive? The answer tells you everything. Because the most youthful men aren't just disciplined with food or fitness, they're disciplined with who they allow into their mental space. And in the next section, we'll dive into a deeper truth that most people overlook entirely: how your relationship with the past either adds years to your life or quietly steals them. You can see it in their eyes. That distant, heavy stare of someone who's still living in a moment that passed years ago. Sometimes it's heartbreak, sometimes betrayal, sometimes it's the weight of their own mistakes. But one thing's clear: they've built a home in the past, and it's aging them every single day. Holding on doesn't just affect the mind, it changes the body. Regret tightens your chest, resentment stiffens your posture, guilt sits like a stone in your gut, and over time, that emotional gravity pulls your whole spirit downward, until even your face starts to look older than your years. I knew a man once, divorced in his late 30s. By 40, he looked closer to 50, always tense, bitter, obsessed with what went wrong. Every conversation circled back to the same woman, the same story, the same pain. And then, one day, he stopped talking about her, not because he forgot, but because he finally let go. He forgave her, forgave himself, not because she deserved it, but because he did. Within months, something changed. His eyes softened. He smiled more. He started working out again. It wasn't just emotional, it was visible. His youth had been trapped in a story, and the moment he released it, it returned. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about cutting the hook out of your own skin. It's about telling yourself, I don't need to carry this anymore. Because the past will always ask for your attention, but you don't have to answer. And no, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing freedom over friction, peace over poison. Every unresolved memory you carry is like a brick in your backpack. And every time you forgive yourself or someone else, you drop one. And suddenly you stand taller, breathe easier, smile without force. So if you've been told you look young, maybe it's because you've chosen peace over punishment. And if you haven't been told that yet, maybe it's time to loosen your grip on the things that no longer serve you. Because in the next section, we'll explore another form of freedom, one that doesn't live in your past, but in the way you move, the way you carry yourself, and how your body quietly reveals the story your words never tell. Some men enter a room and they don't even have to speak. You feel something shift. It's not because they're loud, not because they're flashy. It's because of how they move. Their shoulders are open, their gaze is steady, their gestures are fluid, and somehow they look younger than everyone else there. This isn't just about fitness or having a good body. This is about embodied presence. The way your body expresses energy or suppresses it changes how people perceive your age, your confidence, even your emotional health. Have you ever noticed how kids move? They bounce, they wiggle, they run just because they can. Their bodies are alive, but somewhere along the way, many men lose that. We stiffen, sit for hours, hide our expressions, numb our posture. We stop using our bodies to feel joy, and it shows. I once coached a guy in his late 40s, engineer, brilliant mind, but constantly hunched, locked jaw, almost never smiled. We didn't start with therapy or mindset work. We started with posture and movement, morning walks, stretching, eye contact exercises, breathing deeply while standing tall. And after a few weeks, people around him started saying, "You look different. Did you get a haircut?" Nope. He just returned to his body. See, movement isn't just mechanical. It's emotional. Every shrug, every stretch, every smile is your nervous system saying, "I feel safe here." And when the body feels safe, the face softens, the eyes brighten, the aura shifts. You don't need to be a dancer or yogi, but you do need to move with intention, shake off the stress, walk like your spine matters, smile like your face deserves to feel light. It may feel weird at first, but that's just your nervous system waking up after years of stillness. The lesson: you can't look alive if you move like you're dying inside. And in the next part, we'll explore a different kind of movement, not of the body, but of the mind. Specifically, how choosing when not to speak can actually make you more magnetic and more youthful. Have you ever met a man who didn't say much, but when he did, everyone leaned in? He wasn't loud. He didn't dominate the room. But something about his presence made you feel calm, curious, even drawn in. That's the quiet kind of youthfulness. Not the energy that explodes, but the energy that anchors. In a world that rewards noise, there's a rare kind of power in choosing when to stay silent. And strangely enough, that restraint doesn't make you disappear. It makes you magnetic. There's a man I deeply respect. He's in his 60s, silver hair, quiet eyes, barely raises his voice. But when he speaks, people pause. Not because he demands attention, but because he doesn't chase it. You don't see stress in his face. No frown lines from over-explaining. No twitchy expressions from needing to be heard. He listens, observes, and when he speaks, it lands. Here's why that matters. Constant verbal output drains energy. The more you react, defend, explain, argue, the more your nervous system burns out, that wear and tear. It etches itself into your face, your breath, your posture. But men who master selective silence, who learn to respond, not react, they conserve that energy. They don't age from emotional friction. They age like stone, weathered but whole. This doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you don't waste yourself on conversations that go nowhere. You don't explain your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't fill silence out of fear. Instead, you own the quiet. You let your calm be your charisma. The truth is, youthful energy isn't always about being vibrant. Sometimes it's about being settled. Not the stillness of defeat, but the stillness of inner clarity. And people feel that. They trust it. They're drawn to it. So next time you feel the urge to jump into a pointless debate or over-explain your decisions, pause, breathe, smile, and let your stillness do the talking. Because in the final section, we'll look at the most subtle but most powerful trait of all how your very presence affects those around you, and why that might be the real reason you look younger than you are. You know that feeling when someone walks into the room and the air just feels lighter. They don't have to say much. They don't have to do anything flashy, but somehow their presence makes you feel safer, calmer, more at ease, like everything's going to be okay. That's not charm. That's not charisma. That's energy. And it might just be the most overlooked key to why some people seem to glow with youth, no matter how many candles are on their birthday cake. Because real youthfulness isn't only about the absence of wrinkles. It's the presence of aliveness, the kind that makes other people feel seen, heard, uplifted. I once met a man on a hiking trail, late 50s, salt and pepper beard, lean, soft-spoken. We shared a bench overlooking the valley and ended up talking for an hour. I don't remember everything he said, but I remember how I felt peaceful, motivated, like I mattered. That's the kind of man people remember, not because of how he looks, but because of how he makes you feel. This isn't something you fake. It comes from inner work, from the quiet confidence of knowing who you are, from shedding resentment, from choosing joy without needing a reason, from walking through fire and still choosing to be kind. People who carry that kind of presence radiate a frequency, one that says, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to be real with you. And that realness is deeply attractive, even healing. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be whole. So if people often tell you, there's something about you, this might be it. You might be carrying a rare kind of energy, grounded, open, warm, and that energy, it shows in your skin, your smile, the ease in your body. It's a glow that no serum can replicate. And if you're still building that presence, start small. Be kind when no one expects it. Make eye contact. Listen without rushing to reply. Choose peace even when chaos invites you in. Because the most youthful men aren't chasing attention, they're quietly radiating alignment. And that, more than anything, is what people see when they say, you don't look your age.